give us a player's perspective on the Harris situation, how you guys felt in the game and then afterwards?
Yeah, so I think myself and a few of the boys didn't see it live. Obviously, you're looking at other things as you're transitioning out. But then we saw it on the slow-mo and it obviously looked really graphic. And it was pretty hard to see Harris on the ground making some noises and obviously right out of it. So I think both teams at that point just felt sympathy for Harris. But it's obviously really hard to watch.
And afterwards as well, like apparently he was sweet for a little while and then had to go to hospital. Like must be a bit of a worry when you find that out. Like you see a bloke and he's laughing, joking apparently, and then sort of takes a turn for the worse. Yeah, I mean it could be a bad sign. It could not. I think the fact that he got ill later isn't unusual after such an event. And I remember when I got a head knock a few years ago, I kind of felt pretty good straight after. I was trying to convince them that I could go back out there, and I didn't realise at the time that it was just not realistic. So I think you have like this little range of emotions and range of health that comes in the next 48-hour period.
You've seen in your time at the club, John O'Brien, Jace Clark and Matty Maguire all have to finish their careers because of these things. Do you have concerns now when you see these sorts of incidents happen that it might have serious consequences long term?
I think you have to. I think we've seen enough times that it can end careers that it would have to go through your mind. Having said that, there's no reason so far from what the neurosurgeon has said to make us think that that's even on the cards. He's really confident that Harris is going to fully bounce back. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, it always goes through your mind, like especially the way we saw him on the ground. He didn't look good. With that in mind, is it fair to say the AFL Tribunal has to meet it with a requisite penalty? I mean, you've copped blows to the head before. You've seen your teammates come off, real bad from some of them. Yeah. I think they probably do, just for the policy of it all. I think it's probably appropriate. I mean, all players know these days that those kind of hits are going to be met with some repercussions, but you can't stop penalising that. I think it has to continue. Yeah.
Having had a heavy knock yourself before, can you talk us through just the difficulty in the process of actually physically recovering from an injury like this?
Yeah, well, for me it wasn't that difficult. I just must have got hit in the right spot. So I was lucky enough I could actually play the next week. I didn't play well, but I was able to play. I passed the concussion test straight after the hit, so it might have looked really bad, but I don't think my knockout was as bad as other guys have had. But yeah, you'd probably know the protocol, but you've just got to pass those tests during the week, and then they keep monitoring you on a daily basis. So.
I remember when you did play the next week, there was a lot of talk about whether or not you should have played, and you just mentioned then that you played and you didn't play well. Do you look back and think maybe I didn't play well because I was still suffering the effects, and maybe I should have taken another week or another 2 weeks and played it safe?
I just don't think, like physically I felt fine, so I didn't have any reason to not play. Yeah, you could obviously argue hypothetically whether another week might have made me feel better, but I just felt fine, so I just thought I'd play. I didn't think I would be a detriment to the team. If I thought I would be, I wouldn't have played. But.
In the immediate aftermath, do you as a team feel aggrieved that a player of the status of Harris has left the game for the remainder of the match, whereas one of their key players is still out there despite? Do you immediately sort of think, this is a bit unfair?
Oh, to be honest, I hadn't even thought about that debate until you just asked the question of Andrew before. But it's something I'm going to probably start thinking about because it's a good one. Did I feel aggrieved? No. In the game, you're concentrating on so many things. I mean, obviously Harris's health is the number one, and then you've got to kind of compartmentalise it all and move on. I'll probably end up giving more thought to your question, but I probably don't have a solid answer for you yet.
Did it swing the game a little bit? I know it was only 10 minutes in or whatever it was, but that was a pretty key matchup. Harris is important to what you guys do.
I mean, Harris has been our most important player for the last month or two, so no doubt it changed the momentum of the game. With him on the field, I mean, he just stems attacks and gives us run like you've seen him do it. So, yeah, I mean, who knows what effect that had on the outcome.
Have you been in touch with him? How is he doing?
Oh no, I haven't. I think there's a chance of being inundated with communications. I'm pretty sure he knows everyone's thinking about him and cares about him. So when the time's right, I'll ask him. But yeah, I know what it's like having to explain the same story over and over again. It can get a little bit frustrating. So.
How much are you guys going to miss him for at least the next 2 weeks? It looks like.
Yeah, heaps. I mean, he's been a star for us, so we'll miss him a lot. Lucky we got a really great defender in Darcy Gardner, who's also stepped up this year. So we're really lucky to have him and the whole unit. But yeah, you can't sort of replace a guy like Harris.
As a team, not to mention Hodgie obviously stepped up, had a big game on the weekend. Chat that his second year might not be a playing role, but after that performance, there's a little speculation he will go back out on the field. Has he said anything? You got any feeling around that?
We do our reviews, and he looks pretty chuffed to get some good feedback. I think for him, you know, he's obviously here in a coaching capacity even now, but I think it was just really refreshing for him too to remind himself how good a player he is and he has been, and there's no reason he can't just keep doing that. He seems young in the body to all of us, and he seems fit, and you saw him get off the ground with that mark, so he's still got his fair bit of athleticism. So.
Do you feel like, you talk about the incident, you had to move on from that as quick as you could. Do you feel like Jeremy's sort of shown enough remorse in the space? You know, it was Harris that sorted him out after the game. He spoke after the game. So they might be angry about the incident, but do you feel like he's expressed enough remorse in that space?
I mean, I didn't see it from the vantage point you did, so I didn't even know that Harris initiated the contact after the game. I probably don't know enough to comment specifically on that. From my small amount of dealings with Jeremy, I've only known him to be a nice guy. I've got nothing bad to say about him. So, but yeah, I probably didn't see it all unplay.
What did you expect from Steve May when it happened to you? Were you there expecting an apology or some sort of contrition afterwards?
I wasn't consciously too phased with it, but I guess if I didn't get it, I may have been a little bit. It may have left a sour taste in my mouth slightly. But again, like he sort of was quite remorseful straight after it happened. I was told he just put his hands up and said, "I've stuffed up here, guys." You know, I think he said to our boys, "Do what you need to do." So I think most blokes in the AFL are just generally good blokes, and there's that fine line you tread, and it's going to happen. I mean, I could do it next week. Who knows? It's just one of those things, and as long as they show some sort of remorse, I think everyone's willing to accept that.
People always talk about going back with a flight, and how courageous and brave it is. And Brad Scott last month was saying sometimes players need to put that aside and actually make the smarter decision to look and not go back and do the brave thing. How hard is that to get out of people's system? Because talk from a young age, going back is the thing to do. How hard do we have to work to stop that?
Well, do we have to work to stop? I don't know, even if we do have to. I mean, you'll see him do those types of intercept marks, 6 times a game, and probably get praised heaped on him for doing it. I'm not already convinced that you want to get that out of the game. You want some form of self-protection, but we only admire Harris for what he did. Yeah, that's all I'd probably say on it.